There. Oh, jeez. Am I live now? I think I am. I don't know if anybody's here yet, but I believe I'm live. And been a week, I'll tell you. It's been a week. But welcome to this overstuffed house. And it is still stuffed. Things have not gone as planned this weekend, or this last week. Gary's been in and out with doctor's appointments, and I've had to go with him and all that fun stuff. So who's here? Nora! I'm hanging in there. I did not get a chance to even put a description into that into the YouTube thumbnail for a live chat for tonight. Oh my goodness. Telling you, it's been a week. It's been a week. Now let's see. I need this. Copy. All the stuff. I can't take the BP meds just yet. I just took 2 Tylenol, so I have to wait. I can't take them right away. So let's paste that in there. Let's fix the typo. Oh, this is my life this week. Everything's been last minute. Let's see. Nora's here. Val is here. Sherry's here. Rig is here. Hi, everybody. It is cold over here. Though those of you on the West Coast, I think, are getting it even more. My nose is running. Sorry about that. I see the primary care. I went back to my old one, and I see him on Tuesday. And I think I have all up on this side, I think, is a sinus infection. So I have been dragging all week because, like, this half of my face, I feel like Eric from Phantom of the Opera, like, so, but I'm hanging in there. Gary is not hanging in there. He's back to being super weak, super pale. So tomorrow I have to be up tomorrow morning early to take him to the other doctor, the one that's checking his kidney. And because honestly, I think that doctor's more up on what's going on in Gary's primary care, because Gary's primary care said, oh yeah, fine, his blood work's all fine. And I'm like, no, he's way too pale. His blood work can't be fine. Either that or Gary's just not telling me the truth, which can happen. Let's see. I need to put a comma there. There we go. Helps to have a description in your video. Oh, just did not quite get to everything this week. I still have that pile of packages that I didn't do anything with because I've just been I mean, Gary's weak enough he couldn't even do his own laundry, and that meant lots of up and down the steps for me, which that's a problem. That's definitely a problem. Um, because it's not easy for me to carry anything right now up and down stairs because um, I'm I should be getting shots by the middle of next month. Oh, well, wait. So yeah, next month starts tomorrow. Um, so so the longer I wait, the better off. But at the same time, it makes it hard to function because I never know when my when the spine is going to just suddenly go nope. And earlier today, I got out of the shower and the hernia went nope. What do I hear? Are maybe I didn't get all of the cats out of the basement. I'm not sure because somebody's sure trying to get either in or out. Are you trying to go back down there? You're not going back down there. I lost count trying to watch to see who was coming out of there. So I don't know. No, I don't. I want to go to my channel. Look, I am not. There we go. Give myself a thumbs up. Put myself in live chat. Let's see. Nora, Val, Sherry, Rig. Kathy, hello. Kathy's here. A Bratz doll. Wow. I remember them. Haven't seen those in a while, but I remember them. But, so tonight's discussion is going to be the fun of trying to work around physical limitations. If your house is overstuffed or if you have physical limitations, like I have physical limitations, and they vary depending on when I've had the shots in the spine. And they've also varied on has my body decided to fall apart somewhere else, hence the foot problem that I've finally got cleared from physical therapy from. But that doesn't mean that problem's 100% gone away. I still have to massage it every day. I still have to do the exercises every day because if I don't, that's just going to tighten up and then foot surgery. I don't want that. I've had foot surgery. It hurts. I don't want to do that. But it does take planning. I see the abdominal surgeon on, let's see, he's on Thursday, next Thursday. I see him and I will give him an update and then get a new script and approval for the test that I put off for so long that expired. But I got to get it done now. Because it's getting to the point. Those two hernias, they were little and they were right under the rib cage though, so they got aggravated a lot. They're not so little anymore. They're actually to the point where I can actually just see this slight little rise for one of them, which means it's getting bigger. That's not good. That also gives me another, not impedes, it's another physical limitation. So trying to find ways to work around these things, and I've had a lot of time to work around that pinched nerve. Baskets are a blessing, especially if it's something that's kind of deep sides and a little on the wide side. Because if you have stuff to carry from room to room, it makes it so much easier. Baskets are your friend. Even for just trying to tidy up around the house, it's great. because you can carry, you can take the stuff that you know is in one room that belongs in the other. You can move it there. You can fill it up with what you know is trash and take it to the trash can, or you could take it to the donate box. But that was something that I've been doing ever since I hurt my spine, is just little bits at a time, or one box at a time. And one box at a time doesn't mean that box is going to get completely emptied. That's one of the hardest things to learn to accept. I had to learn to accept the fact that I was not a failure if the box was not 100% emptied by the end of the day, especially when it was a heavy box of books and Michael would bring it in. And then it was like, okay, well, I think we've gone through all the smaller boxes of books, but now my shelf's full. I have some of them just sitting around. I still have one box in my bedroom that's not completely full. So I will be filming a video when we finally see sunshine again, because there was none today, and I need the brighter light. And you guys will pick what the next 10 books are that I read. 10 or 12, we'll see. But I thought that would be just something fun. You guys could pick out what I'll give you a big selection, and then you can vote on it. So that'll be coming out. I want that out by Sunday. So I'm still working on the last library book, which is this one. She wrote 84 Charing Cross Road, and I never knew she wrote another book. But when the movie got so big and the book got so big, she had a chance to go to London, and this is her story about having gone to London finally. But sadly, it was after the gentleman who'd run the bookstore that she had corresponded with for so many years, after he had passed away. So, but it's really good, and it's funny because like I didn't get to see much of London when I was there for a week in 1988, but I did get to see some of it. And so some of the places she's been to, I never got to see, and getting to read her descriptions of it are so nice and clear and concise that it is almost like being there. And then there's 2 places that she's been to that I've been to, and it was kind of nice to see somebody else's perspective of seeing those things. So that was kind of cool. So I thought that was a fun book to read, but that's the last library book. So, and I'll probably be done that. I've been doing well, reading half an hour in the morning and then half an hour before bed. So I get an hour of reading in every day, and it's been a big help. It hasn't worked to help keep my stress levels down today. I'm a little tense. So if you see me fidgeting with these, that's why. A little tense. The finances are not lining up well right now, and there's supposed to be another drop in temperature, and we only had 50 gallons of oil, and the cats need food, and Gary's not doing well, and I'm not doing well, and it's all just beginning to, tighten up. That stress ball, tighter and tighter and tighter, until you want it to go wee. And it's okay, but you recognize it for what it is. That way you don't get very snappy. You don't, if you keep it all in, you tend to get, at least I do, I tend to get snippy, and then, or I'll just get quiet, and then there'll be something that triggers me, and there'll be a nice big explosion. That's not good, especially if it's a really bad one and turns into a big anxiety attack, because then occasionally dishes start flying into walls, and that scares the cats and occasionally me. So I don't want to do that. I don't like fidget spinners, but for some stupid reason, I like the little ball things on this. So I fidget with them a lot, which the cats think is great, because then they think it's toy time. Because if you haven't noticed, for those of you who have not seen this, this is the cat hoodie. It has a pouch in the front for holding a kitty. The only one that really fits in there now is Elrond. Now, this is always a problem for me for hoods. They just go over my face right away. But it has little cat ears on the hood. And then you have these things you can put your thumb through, and they're not quite lined up perfectly, but you have little kitty cat toes. I have beans. So uh, I work because it's cold. It's cold down here. Mike did get that window shut for me, but it's still cold down here. So so I tend to play with these a lot when I wear it. That's why I started wearing it. Not just It's not necessarily the warmest hoodie I have, but it's definitely the best de-stressor one. So if you are working on your house or a closet or going through, sorting out a stack of mail that you've been ignoring for a while because you knew half of it was probably bills, that's not a good thing to ignore. Um, I laugh because I know I've done it, and I learned my lesson. It's not a good thing to ignore. It's better to know what you have to do and when. Timelines matter for those kind of things. And you have to find whatever it is that will help you get through it. Now, I don't like fidget spinners. I don't do well with those. I've never done well with stress balls, but these fuzzy things, these are really tightly packed pom-poms. These I find nice and squishy, and the fact that they're attached to something, then my hands are free as soon as I need them to be free because I could just let go of them. Taking that half hour in the morning and then half hour before I go to sleep to read helps. It helps two ways. One, it gives me an escape from all this stuff around me, all these piles, all this visual clutter, because you're right at the page. But it also gives me a mental break, which has been a nice thing to have. That's been a huge change, which is wonderful. Um, because doing the stretches and everything I have to do in the morning, now with adding the feet, that takes about an hour. And then you just need to sit and let everything kind of settle. So, and that takes about half an hour. So it's perfect. I do all the stretches. I sit up in the bed with pillows propped up behind me, and I set my timer on my phone and I sit and read for half an hour. It's one of the things that's helping me function around physical limitations, because that all those stretches for the spine, some of them are yoga stretches and you're stretching your spine in like odd kind of ways and arching it up. And then there's others that are for the hips, because that's the fifth lumbar is where, and so your hips are like right there. The fifth lumbar is right here. So there are things for that I have to do to keep good mobility in the hips. Definitely has helped because it's toned a lot of stuff up down there, but but it does mean that there's a physical limitation. It means that for an hour I'm going to do what I need to do to keep myself with some amount of mobility. And the other good thing is it is exercise. So even though it's not working the cardio up a huge amount, it's still burning calories. It's still exercise. It's still keeping myself flexible. But then to not waste half an hour or risk, and this has happened way too often, I would lay back down and I'd fall asleep again. Well, that doesn't help. That does not help, because then I get frustrated because now I've lost 2 minutes. I've lost like 3 hours instead of just half an hour. So I found a way to work around that actually has worked out even better, because I feel better because I'm getting through more books. And that's a plus. Even if this batch was from the library, it's still getting through stuff that was on a to-read list that I've always wanted to read. That's still good. The working around having the basket to carry things around from room to room to make it easier. I found that a lot easier, though I have to admit there have been days where I've gotten interrupted and then I've forgotten what room I left the basket in. Fair point. Fair point. Funny, I never forget where the tea is, but I have forgotten which room I've put that basket in. What was some of the other points? I should have made a bullet list. I really should have. I didn't, and I should have. What is this? Oh, I know what that is. What are some of the challenges some of you guys have? Hi, CDC. What are some of the challenges you guys have? For me, one of the other challenges of getting around is the fact that some places, like to get in here, there's a path. There's not a real wide space. There's a path. For a while, there wasn't a path, and that was hugely frustrating. And then I hurt my foot, so then it became a problem because I couldn't lift the foot up over everything. So, because I had a box right here, but that's now dealt with, and that stuff's packed. But I haven't gotten the stuff that's packed weighed and invoiced. I need to do that. Everything today has been, or everything this last week, I have been on the phone to trying to see about getting LIHEAP. I have been on the phone to find out why am I getting things saying my health insurance renewal is due when you just told me you renewed it a month ago. Why am I still getting those? Why am I getting a bill for the shot in my knee? That should have gone to insurance, and I still have the approval number for the insurance gave in order for me to have those shots in my knee. Why did I get a $400 bill for it? So we got that squared away. But you get transferred person to person to person on each one of these, and that's been time consuming, frustrating. Not necessarily. Um, a good manager will recognize the fact that some people do get chatty at job interviews. They get a little nervous, so they tend to talk a lot. So it shouldn't have blown it. It shouldn't. Fingers crossed, though. I mean, those kind of places are always looking for people. They are tough to work at. I worked third shift, and I know it's kind of true of all the Wawas, and it's probably true of all the ones like it. First shift gets all the hours and all the people because the manager's there and he or she is in the back trying to do the paperwork and read all the reports and answer all the phone calls from the home office and do this and do that. And so they're most of the time kind of stuck at their desk. And then, but then second shift may not have enough people for when it gets really busy. And then third shift, forget it. Yet third shift's supposed to get all the cleaning done too. And it might, like, I know for a long while, we only had 3 people on third shift. And then they would complain if something didn't get done. Well, you expect us to get this done, and then we are literally blocks away from a high school, and it's a Friday night with a football game. And the game went until 11 o'clock at night, and you expect us to still have all this stuff torn apart, cleaned up, and then put back together again in order to start breakfast at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. Doesn't always work that way. I loved it, though. I liked the people I worked with. I missed some of the customers a lot because some of them were really cool. But it is definitely a demanding job because everything always seems like it's hurry, hurry, hurry. So that, and you're walking on concrete. I don't care what fancy tile they have on that floor. That's still just hard tile, concrete underneath it. So you will have to get used to that. That does take a number those first 3 weeks on your feet and on your knees. So you went thrifting today. Oh, cool. 2 canes. Yeah. Yeah, I have that problem right now. I cannot stand for too long. I can't stand still in one spot. It aggravates the foot. Sadly, though, I kind of think that I may end up someday having to have the surgery on the foot, but I would need to get the hernias dealt with first. One thing at a time. The hernias cannot be ignored anymore. They cannot be pushed aside anymore because that gets dangerous. Just trying to cut my toenails this morning. I pinched one of them and it didn't immediately want to come back apart. If the sides of a hernia actually like push together, they can stick together and they can stay that way. And then that's dangerous. That is very dangerous. Mine, because they were just little, I was usually able to kind of manipulate them because of where they were. But I shouldn't have to do that. And I find I'm doing that. I'm doing that probably twice a month now. And so, no, 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 no. We don't want this to be an emergency. We want to have this planned out ahead of time. So, biting the bullet, taking care of it. I don't know whatever happened. I think I left it at Wawa and then it disappeared. I had a wonderful cane that had a brass handle. Why do I keep getting that? I keep getting some kind of interruption where the screen then goes black and I get that little swirly circle. I don't know what that is. And I missed that cane because it was just the perfect height because I had to have it cut down to be the right height, but it's not the cane with the handle like this. It had a handle that looked like a tree branch, so it kind of went like that. Like almost straight across, but just a little bit of a hook to it. And man, that fit my hand perfectly. The ones with the curved handle just don't fit as well for me. But I have found that I do better if I flip it around. So, because usually they have you holding it. So if the curve is this way, they usually want you to hold it this way. But I flip it around and I hold it this way so that the open part of the handle is facing out. And I find that to be, for me, a little bit better. But I'm just weird anyway. We all know that. So, so if that's what you have to do to have 2 canes, then do it and take your time. You know, it's nice to be able to get out of the house. Mike's been telling me if you get too cold, go somewhere, go to the library or somewhere, but I had no car today. Of course, Gary took somebody out running. Knew that was going to start. You know, oh, well, they needed a lift to the grocery store. And so this is why once he started driving my car suddenly had way more mileage, way more. And no idea how he managed to put that much mileage because when we ended up having to share a car, my car only had 100,000 miles on it. And within 2.5 years, it had over 200,000 miles on it, a good bit over. That's a lot of mileage. That's a lot of mileage in a short time. And once he started driving it, he insisted on smoking in my car, so I couldn't use it for scouts. And he would collect beer cans down at the one park to bring them back for aluminum. And he didn't necessarily care if they were completely emptied. So my trunk smelled like beer. So I couldn't hardly put, I couldn't put kids' gear in the trunk. You go explain that to parents that they come home and their stuff, their sleeping bag smells like beer. That would not go over well. Oh my goodness. So what things do any of you find to be the most difficult thing to do around taking care of your own houses, your own things that you need to do at home. Maybe we can come up with a plan and help you. Well, I'm trying to find space because I have my this is the book. This is the book I never never want to lose, because this has the sales in it. has all the sales, and then it's got the packing list in there. Don't want to ever lose that one. We're gonna sit you right up there, and we're going to sit you over here. And I just realized I forgot to turn this little space heater on to try to warm up over here. So nobody has any fun issues? I know one of mine is laundry. Now, I'm lucky in that I have Mike to help me. But now, Gary needs the help. And this is the part that I end up in the middle. He doesn't necessarily want to ask Mike to specifically carry stuff. Mike will do it, but you got to ask him. You don't need to go through me. Mike gets mad when he goes through me to have me ask him to take care of it. That just ticks Mike off, and then I'm stuck in the middle. So I have found that it made a difference to switch laundry baskets. We used to have those great big rectangular ones. I can't carry that much. So Mike got smaller square ones. And the nice part of that is that for going down the basement, I will pull that down the basement steps and let it slide down the steps. Now, I won't do it on the steps up here because I don't want to leave scratches and marks on the step, on the, the good wood staircase on the first floor. But for the basement, it don't matter if that gets scratched up. So that's been a good trick to help with the laundry, to go with a smaller basket. And yeah, it may mean, like, there's times where if it's a lot, like when I change the sheets on the bed and the blankets, and that's a big heavy thing, then Mike will take care of that because it's easier for him to carry that up and down because it's a big bulky basket. But when it's just my clothes, I end up doing it, every so many days. My mom, I don't know, she did laundry every day, and like one day would be the sheets and one day would be, and she's doing it, but she'd be up and down constantly because, there were 6 of us kids. I'm so glad I don't have her laundry to do. So I might have to do 2 loads. But what I found is that if I set it on deep water wash and deep water rinse, things get cleaner because these modern ones want to have less water, but then the agitators hardly work for squat. But if I do deep water wash and deep water rinse, I can put a little bit more in and the stuff gets cleaner. So I do that. But it's always the hard part of getting it up and down the steps. Now, getting it up the steps is a little harder because you've got to kind of go up and then balance it and come up a step and then up again and up a step. Just depends on how my back's feeling, whether I can carry it up or not. Anything above your shoulders. Oh, darling. Do you have one of these? Looks like a squirt gun on that end. I love mine, but it took some doing to find the right one. I had seen some cheaper ones that were just, all this was hard plastic. I tried them out in the store. They are useless if this is hard plastic on the inside. Absolutely useless because stuff slides right off of it. Other ones that I tried is somebody gave me one and I didn't like it. I had to blow my nose again. They're black and silver, and they have, oh, it's in my pants pocket. They have little pads, but it's only this little round pad that's maybe the size somewhere between a quarter and a 50-cent piece. And I found that that one worked better than if it was hard plastic, but it didn't work for anything really heavy. It didn't get a good tight grip on anything. Then I found this one. This one, does it have a maker name on it? Probably not. No, I don't see a maker's name anywhere. But all of this, all the way around, is rubber. And then, now you can see how worn it is, that there's like little fraying bits of rubber. But it's got all these grooves, but all the way down is rubber. So this sucker has been fantastic. But it took me a while to find one that really could do way more than the others, because by having that be rubber, and it does close tight. They do meet when it's closed. Because that was something else I found. I found a couple that you'd squeeze them and they'd only meet like that. Well, that was no good if I need to pick up a piece of paper or something. So that has been, finding the right grabber has made a huge difference. Now, I got that when, let's see, I wish I had this when I had the emergency gallbladder surgery. Wow, that would have been so helpful, and made some days less painful. But Mike and I found this. Well, he found it. I wasn't leaving the house at that point. Of all places, he might have found this one. He might have found this one at Ross or at Home Depot. Because I know, like, the first one that was all plastic, he had seen at Walmart, and that just didn't work. So it makes a difference if this has some nice ridges to the rubber, but all this inside of it is rubber, and it closes tight when you pull the trigger. It closes really tight. So I could actually pick up some stuff. I've learned how to hook things pretty well. The cats are forever knocking that desk lamp up there onto the floor, and I use that for part of the lighting for here. And I've been able to actually even lift that up with that grabber. So make sure your grabber has a good grip by having rubber all the way around, and that those pinchers close tight when you squeeze that little handle part. That makes a huge difference. A computer chair to travel around the house is a good thing. I can't do that here. There's too many odd angles and too much stuff in hallways right now. If you want something that does not take up as much space as an office chair, and you don't need the support of a back, they have these wonderful little round stools at physical therapy that are on wheels, but the wheelbase is smaller. So it's not, and they don't tip, but they're smaller than what they do, because the wheelbase for an office chair can be really kind of wide, and those little stools move really well, but they just don't have as wide of a footprint, so it's easier to move around. I had asked about one of those, and they said you might be able to find it at like a medical supply or maybe even on Amazon. I wonder. Let's see if we can find one on Amazon, so I can show you what I'm talking about. Oh wow, they even come with like a saddle, a saddle seat. I don't like the ones with the plastic wheels, but those are cheaper. Where is... I think that, yeah, that's the one. I found the one that they have at physical therapy, which is... it won't let me put that in because the link's way too big. But it's called an anal alley. Well, there's a word. It's a rolling stool with wheels. Now, let's see if they have such a thing with a back. They do. Um, some of them are calling them medical spa stools. And they have ones that have a back to them. They don't necessarily have ones that have arms to them, but they do have ones with a back to them. I just think it's funny they call them spa stools. But okay, a spa stool. That's different. So that might be helpful. If I really need to go check on these kitties because I'm really hearing somebody clawing at a basement door. All right, what's going on out here, you guys? Well, hello. Come on. You should have come when you were called. I am not at all surprised at who it was. Oh, his left hip has been driving me nuts for the last week. It was Aragorn, still in the basement. Honestly. He gets down there, and if there's any laundry laying on top of the dryer or in a basket down there, he'll take a nap. He'll get tired of playing with his brothers. He'll climb on it. He'll go to sleep. So when I got them all up out, and Mike had gone down and turned the water on so we could all get showers, he got home about 8 o'clock. And when he went to turn the water off down there, he said, you know, all the cats are down there. Now, he didn't realize that Gimli was sitting next to me on his bed. So, like, well, all but one. I was surprised because even the doctor was down there with the kittens, which was a big surprise because she doesn't usually go into the basement. So of course, I didn't think I saw him. They all came out en masse because they were hungry. They wanted their dry food. And who is lurking? Hello. I don't see a collar. So is that a Frodo? Hi. That's a Frodo. A void in the hallway. A little house panther. What? You don't know what to do? I swear they all know I don't feel good because they seem to take turns. One of them is always somewhere near me, and it's been like that for the last 2 days. And the last 2 days, like today's the first day this really hurt a lot. And I've been using the neti pot to try to rinse it, and it's just going further up, and now it's like in above the teeth. It's definitely sinus infection. But I see him on Tuesday, so just have to get through the weekend. Um, Forgetting things up high too is I have a step stool. I do not have a modern step stool. I absolutely refuse to get rid of this one. It has paint splattered on it. I don't care. It is one of those great 1940s, 1950s where it's a solid metal stool and it has the steps that you have to lift up and pull out and then drop down. And they've got like rubber on the steps. I'm not trading that sucker for anything. I don't like modern step stools, especially if they're plastic, because let's face it, I am not Tinkerbell. I'm a heavy woman. I've had too many years of working late at night, eating dinner at 10 o'clock, being in bed at 11, and then had what? One, two, I've had 3 things. Well, now with the foot, I've had 4 things where I've been stuck in bed for over a month at a time. That'll pack weight onto you real fast. And, it's hard to figure out exercises to do when you can't walk. That's a challenge. And if you can't do leg lifts of any kind, that's the one that got me. Because when I snapped the ligament in the ankle, one of the ligaments that snapped, one was in front of the ankle bone, the other was behind the ankle bone. The one behind the ankle bone comes all the way up to your hip. So I literally could not move from the waist down. I couldn't roll over. I couldn't do leg lifts on either leg because it would make the other one pivot and it would pull that ligament. So I had to sit still, perfectly still. It took 8 weeks for that thing to heal. 8 weeks. I'm not moving at all, other than torso. And so, yeah. And that one wasn't planned. So I didn't have prepped frozen meals for me. And Michael didn't live here then. So I had nobody to really take care of me other than Gary. And Gary's idea of feeding me was whatever was easiest. So a lot of hot dogs in a piece of bread. No ketchup, no mustard, just hot dog and a piece of bread. And then one friend showed up to help, but everything he brought was like cookies and trail mix that was more candy than it was trail mix. And they meant well, but those are not, when you can't move, those are high calorie things. So that packed on 50 pounds. 50 pounds I packed on in those 8 weeks. That was not good. Not good. So far, I've got 25 of it off. I had 30, but then those 2 months of having my not being able to move from my foot, that packed 5 pounds back on. But I'm still 25 pounds down and have kept that off, so I will take that. That's a win. You figure your weight fluctuates a little bit anyway. It is almost 11. I can almost take my, it's almost time for me to take my, I can sit you there, as long as I remember you're there. I'll soon be able to take my amlodipine. So, yeah, I need back support. I like this chair. This chair is fabulous. This carved, all this beautiful carved wood. And it's just the right height, so it doesn't bother my knees. Because some chairs, I'm short-legged, so some chairs are too high. This one is just the right height. It's just has no padding. It's a solid wood chair. So I have 2 pillows under me. When I can, in the spring maybe, I'll get to, not Home Depot, to Joann Fabrics and get some high-density foam and make a little cushion, a proper cushion, and put loops on it so that cats don't keep knocking the pillows on the ground, and hook it to the chair. Little ties around the back part will work. I just have to figure out if I can do that. I might have to like make them long enough to go around the leg. because I don't think there's an opening in the back carving. No, it comes up about 5 inches up and it's still all solid wood. Yeah. There's the first curve. So yeah, that's about 5 inches. I'm back there feeling it with my hands. So, so how is everybody's weather doing? We had some serious wind come through here last night. We were at Scouts, and I did not get to everybody I needed to get to talk to. But one kid was in the middle of trying to talk to me about stuff, and all of a sudden the lights went out. And in the 19 years we've been with that troop, I've never seen the lights go out in that building. But one of the dads came in. Luckily, it wasn't too far along before. It wasn't too much time before the meeting would have been over anyway. So they were cleaning up from their activity so that they were hoping to get a game in. That didn't really happen. So, but one of the dads said he had to take the long way around to get there because on one of the back ways to where we meet, a big tree had come down, hit the wires, and snapped the wires. And you could see there were already police there, have blocked it off, and fire department was coming up right behind him. And so they had to get the power turned off and cleared away because you could see all the sparklies from all the sparks from 2 of the wires had snapped, 2 of the electrical wires. Hello, Bonnie. How are you tonight? So, the little heart thing is in the way. I wanted to try. No, stop that. Nope, I can't get to it. I wanted to see if I could get to a certain channel to give the link, and it won't let me do it. Oh, this poor Santa. So he's a casualty. His head. I was supposed to have a Christmas sale, and then I got sick, and then there were other issues. And then the cats knocked over the box. My own fault for leaving it where I sat it, because it was sitting on this little radiator. And, but he hit the metal foot of my dad's exercise bike, which is in the corner there, which is now my exercise bike. And Santa has a migraine. But it's cold in here. So I went, the candle's still good. So I've been, you work over here. And then after a while, you can warm your hands like this over a candle. Oh, Bonnie. Oh, you lose your puppy. I'm so sorry. Do they have an emoji for a hug? I don't think they have an emoji for a hug. I don't see an emoji for a hug. But I give you a virtual hug, hon. I know that's hard. Oh, there's one. Kathy found one. Yeah, we've never cremated any of our pets. They're all buried in the yard. My family's been in this property. I'm 58, so they 60 years. Yeah, 60 years they've had this property. We've had this property. That's a lot of pets. There's a reason I won't read Stephen King's Pet Cemetery. No, 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 no. Because I mean, besides the cats and the dogs and the fish, there's a couple snakes, there's a squirrel monkey, there's a caiman. which is just a baby version of an alligator. Um, yeah, no. There's a possum. Nah, no. Oh, yeah. I mean, we love our darlings, but they don't have the lifespan that we do. My doctor is 13 going on 14 this year. It's hard to believe that the gang of five is going to be 2 years old April 1st. So at this point, they're family. But yeah, the doctor's 13. I mean, I know some cats can, dogs not so much. I have rarely ever come across anybody who's had a dog that's made it to 18 or 19 years old. But Cosette lived to be 18 years old. He was a cat. Get a cat that answers to its name, and then you find out it's a boy. Well, you leave it the name you gave him because he answers to his name. He was something else. I still miss him. We've had other pets since then, but I still miss him. Certain pets, I don't think I'll ever not have some kind of pet. And we've gone from dogs to right now we've got the cats. One of which is about to get hollered at. What are you doing? Hey, I hope there wasn't water in that. I just heard the trash can upstairs. I'm allergic to cats too, and I have this it's a basically it's a wet wipe kind of thing, but it's for allergen for cats. And I have to wipe my little juvenile delinquents down. Otherwise, I'd have to bath them and that completely bath them, and that wouldn't work. They know they cannot lay on my pillow. I managed to get these guys trained to not be on pillows on the bed. Um, I do have to make sure that I wash the blankets off the bed, the sheet every week because of the dander, because they sleep on my bed on the blanket. Um, but it's an allergen wipe, and it's for getting a lot of the dander off the cats, and that, and keeping them brushed and washing my hands anytime I've handled one of them has managed to help keep my allergies down. My bigger allergy is dust and mold, and we have a damp basement, spring rains, but leaf mold. So I'm dying right now because we've got warm enough temperatures, and there's still like my yard, the neighbor's yard, yard across the street. We all still have lots of leaves on the ground because we're the one areas with lots of trees. And it just and where we meet for Boy Scouts, I mean that's surrounded by a nature preserve. So yeah, I've been waking up with all this being all puffy, and then like this eye has been badly swollen two mornings in a row, and like I would just kind of gently rub my finger across it, and it would just start weeping all the fluid out. Ah, and I know that's just because we had rain and then we had warm weather. I mean, it hit 60 briefly for about 2 hours. And we had windows open. I let the cats out on the kitchen porch roof, and but that meant a massive mold bloom and just killing me. So yeah. Yeah, and I'm allergic to cats. And having one was fine, but now I have six, and so that's I have learned to um I have learned to sweep every other day. Now, that's not with a vacuum, that's with a broom. because their fur coming down the staircase. I need to find a good comb, something that really does get that undercoat and gets the loose hair off. The comb that I got doesn't really pull out a lot of the loose stuff. And if I can get that off of them, then it's not so bad. And then I use those wipes twice a month. And it really does help for me. But I don't know how severe your allergy is. But you've also is the swelling from the allergy of the cats, or from the combination of the allergy of the cats and the fact that you might have been crying over your puppy? But sometimes though with swelling, they I don't know. I've seen them once in a while, and I used to have one, and it's a gel mask, and you don't put it in the freezer. You just put it in the refrigerator so that it gets nice and cold. And there, I used to use it when I did operettas and did a lot more theater work. And I would put that on, and it's to go over your eyes and go around your eyes. And that really helps get rid of some puffiness when your eyes are all swollen and puffy. So I know that can help if you can find one of them. Or, as a friend jokingly said, he was a guy, just take a bag of peas and stick it on your face. He's not wrong. Bag of peas is what they always tell you for first aid, because of the fact that peas will, once you get them, the frozen lump broken apart, even though they're still frozen, they will mold themselves to whatever you're sitting it on. So I know for me, that's one of the problems. One of my big allergies is dust allergies and dust mites. The place is stuffed. So I dust and sweep, but I can't get to everywhere. And over time, these things build up. So, and I went through a box of comic books 2 days ago because I knew they were here somewhere, and I found them. I have to get them listed because apparently, I don't know if any of you are Swifties that like Taylor Swift, but she released some kind of autobiography as a comic book, and she had the cover done. Oh, excuse me, as an homage to this Dazzler comic book that was out in the 80s or 90s. And Dazzler's ability is her singing voice. And so apparently Taylor Swift grew up reading this comic book. And I've got about 18 of them from one of the inheritances, some of the stuff from my cousin. And so I need to get them listed now, and I'm just going to do them as one big lot because individually they're not worth a huge deal, except for right now the price is bumped up because of the Taylor Swift thing. But honestly, after digging through that box, my sinuses were just it was dust overload. That was a box that had been up in the attic, so the lid had a lot of dust on it, and yeah, that's one thing too, is why I'd be glad to get through, and I can't wait for spring when I can actually open windows and air the house out because it helps. I do have, for in my room, I have a purifier, but it's one of these ones that has filters. But the filters, from when I first bought it, the filters they used to be like $8 a filter. Now the filters are like $20 a filter, and I have to order them online. But that does help a lot because I can't use it all over the house, but I will use it in my room. And I have Last year we did it because of the problem with the leak upstairs. We were all getting concerned about there being some kind of mold in the wood. So I saw a hack video on things you can do on YouTube, and they would just go, and they had a box fan, and they just went and bought a HEPA filter, one of those great big square ones. They're not super cheap to get those big air filters. Now, those are what you use when you have central air in your house. But then you just duct tape it to the fan and put the fan in the hallway and turn it on and just let it run. And it works. It really works. So that cleared a fair bit of dust out. It was great. Put that on high and let the air just circulate, and it did. You could noticeably see a lot of dust that in last fall we got out of this house from upstairs in the hallway. We need to do that again, except I need the juvenile delinquents to stop knocking over the fan. And this time around, I was the one that had to buy the filters, and I didn't get ones that were as expensive. And they're not working as well as having a HEPA rated filter did. But if you have a lot of dust in your house, because of the fact that if you have boxes, if you have pets, there's dander, there's hair, there's dust mites, because dust mites love paper, they love cardboard, they love fabric. And most people have an allergy to those dust mites. But having that is a really good hack to do it with a box fan to clear out like a big area. Because that other thing I have, it's only about this big. I mean, honestly, the thing's only as big as maybe what, a 6-slice toaster? So that's just for my bedroom, because my bedroom's little. And I would just put it on and just leave it run for the whole day. And that would help. I need to get some new filters for it because I don't have any more new ones. And I've been taking the vacuum cleaner to the old one, taking off what I could, and then putting it back in the machine. Those do help. But because they're smaller, they can't do, like, they don't work on doing a big hallway. It works on doing a small room. This living room goes almost the length of the house from front to back, except there's a porch right there. So this is a huge room. There's no way that little thing would be able to clear the allergens out of the air in this room, because it's just too small a thing. But having a filter on that fan would. So, but yeah, I get the allergy thing. That is the thing that's going to be, if you have a house as stuffed as mine, or you have, and I mean, there's so many reasons you can end up having a lot of dust in your house. It's not like, honestly, it's not like you won't walk into a house that looks like right out of a magazine and you're not going to see all those dust particles, when the sun streams through a window, because dust is just a fact of life in every house. But some people are more bothered by it than others. And because it's a combination of everything. I mean, even the very paint on your walls, they've found, can give off little tiny little bits that you don't even notice. It's not like it's all dead skin cells and hair. It's not. It's just literally just, I mean, fabric sheds, animals shed, we shed our hair. It's not so much skin cells as much as just actual dirt. I mean, when I found out that the paint you paint your house with even can start, as it gets older, can actually put out these little tiny micro bits, I was like, that's surprising. That's real surprising. The biggest thing of dust, though, they said, was paper and fabric. So think about it. Your rugs even are just putting more of it out. So, and it's just there because as a planet, we get stuff that just falls on us because there's pollution out there and there's mold spores carried on the wind and pollen spores, and we carry every time a window is open or we just even walk in a door, we're carrying stuff on our shoes. So you can never get away from it, but you can do your best to try to limit it. So that's one thing that's a fact of life. But having that fan, having a big box fan like that, boy, that really did help. I have to do that again with the juvenile delinquents around, but the main staircase is where it shows up where they're losing fur. I sweep the kitchen floor every day because the litter box is in the corner in there, and I like having litter tracked everywhere. So I sweep that every morning because invariably overnight somebody's got some litter out. So usually once in the morning, once in the evening, the kitchen gets swept. Because in the morning I'll do the whole kitchen. The staircase, though, gets swept twice a week. Because between us going up and down in our shoes and then the cats up and down, that seems to be the space where like all the dust likes to congregate in the corners on the staircase. So that gets twice a week, and I try to get the hallways twice a week. And everybody's responsible for their own rooms, their own bedrooms. Because I'm not mom. That's the benefit of having wood floors, though, is that it is easy for me. I do have, with physical limitations, I think this is one of the best things that we ever got for me, is they're called a butler. That's the actual official term. We've all seen them. So it's a short-handled broom that comes up maybe to your hip, but then it's that dustpan on a long, but it has a really long handle, and usually you can hook the broom right to it. But that makes cleanup of just sweeping and everything so much easier, because I have a good stiff broom that I'll use to sweep upstairs, and then I'll sweep it down the steps and get all the steps done. But at the bottom of the steps, we actually have two of those butler things. Mike has one in his room, so there's one upstairs, and then there's one in the kitchen. And they have been the handiest little things. They've been great. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's cool. I just have the one and then the makeshift one. The other problem, too, is that, yeah, butler brooms are fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Any mobility issue at all. I mean, even if there's stuff to pick up, it's helpful sometimes too to just knock that into the pan thing, lift it up and grab it out of there. I've done that before. Those are extremely handy. You don't realize how helpful they are until you have one. They definitely are a big help. What's another one? We talked about having a basket to carry things from room to room. I have a big basket that's on the third floor right now because some of y'all bought breakable things, and that's where all the gribbies and the packing paper is. So stuff from last week's sale and the sale before that's breakable has now, because I actually got up there, is now all up in a basket on the third floor to get packed, because I don't have enough, the only thing I have down here is I have one roll of bubble wrap brain, but all the other stuff is like packing peanuts, and that's all upstairs on the third floor. So I took all that up there. Yeah, places like Disneyland. I can remember seeing, street sweeper downtown Chester when I was a little girl. There'd be a guy, and he had a metal trash can that on some kind of little stand, it had wheels. And it was a gentleman. His job was to just go along and sweep stuff up out of the off the street and put it in his trash can. And they had those kind of dustpans with the long handle and the little broom to knock it into, and Disney Dad, because they used him in the old days at Disneyland. Well, Bonnie, we'll all say a prayer for your son, because any kind of cancer is no joke. I'm glad he's doing well. Yeah, downtown, in the downtown districts. I don't we I have no problem with progress, but I have a problem when progress for some things doesn't work as well as having a person do it. We used to in this city, now if they do it at all, they don't come up here. They used to send the mechanicals. It went from a guy who we would only see downtown, but twice a year they used to have an actual, like, one of those big, you drive it, street sweepers, and it sprays the water down and then sweeps up in the gutter. And they used to post, no parking on this side of the road, such and such a date. And the guy would, I swear they only had one truck, but they would make his way through the entire city, and then they'd come up and do our end. I don't think I've seen that thing in years. And then they complain that, oh, people aren't raking up their leaves in the front and yada, yada, yada. And the sewer lines are getting clogged up. But the sewer lines are getting clogged up with all the crud that's stuck in the gutters. If you'd send the street sweeper along after they've been here to suck up the leaves, it would be better because it worked. But would they downgrade all these things? Those are entry level jobs, having somebody do that, to just, walk around town and just do that. That's a nice entry level job. That's one thing I like about New Jersey. In New Jersey, you cannot pump your own gas. You have to let the attendant pump your gas. That's an entry level job. And where everything is all automated, well, that's less chance of somebody finding a starter job. So I just I think we need to find a balance, because right now the only starter jobs you can get is either in, like, a convenience store or a fast food place. It's very hard if you're a teenager looking for a job, because there's so few jobs for them to go for. And I never wanted to work in fast food. I had a friend that did and ended up with massive burn on her arm in high school from the deep fryer. I'm like, I want no parts of dealing with people's food. Well, yeah, see, on my street, my house is the only one without a driveway, because the driveway would have been where the twin house is next door. If my parents had come a year before, we'd have had all that property too, and we would have had a garage that had an apartment above it, because it was the old stable and had been converted at some point. But that all got torn down when they sold it. She couldn't find a buyer for the property with all that, so she sold off that. Her lawyer convinced her to sell off that chunk, and they built this ugly little square box of a twin in the 60s. And but they have the driveway, and so we have no choice. We have on-street parking. And the new neighbor is annoying the crap out of my son, because they have a driveway over there, yet they park 3 different vehicles on the street. And we need to have a spot. We need to have 2 spots out front of our own house. And that because we had that discussion. Yet they don't always leave us spots in front of our own house. And Mike's ready to go out and flatten a tire. I'm like, you can't do that. You can't do that. That's not okay. I mean, I know he wouldn't do it, but he was just so pissed off and frustrated. There are times he's pulled up and had to G-haul between cars and the tree and park on the lawn, because he's had stuff that he needed to unpack out of the trunk of the car, but he couldn't park in front of his own house. So I had a chat with the neighbor going, you need to at least leave us room because we don't have options. You have a driveway that'll hold 2 cars. Use it. So they now have started using that more often, but that didn't alleviate the problem. I mean, it's a rental next door now, and he's moved closer to his daughters, the man who owns it. So now them and part of their family or friends have rented the bottom half. So now they're using that driveway, but it's still the same amount of cars on the street. So yeah, having no off-street parking. And this used to be a snow emergency route. Now they've changed the snow emergency route back to 22nd Street, which is a bad idea because 22nd Street goes like this. It's a big drop and 2 big hills, and that's to get to the hospital. That got changed in the 60s because somebody died during an ice storm because the ambulance got stuck down in the bottom and couldn't get out. And so the man who was our local state senator all the way into the 90s, he's the one that had it changed because our street's flat. And if they come down from Edgemont down our street, they can get to just the corner right here at this end of the block I'm on, and then go straight over, and they bypass that steep hill completely. They bypass that deep dip, and that way they can get to the hospital. And it's in bad weather that makes a difference. And so somebody came along and went, no, it should be the straightest route possible, and without ever looking at the fact that the straightest route possible is actually in bad weather not the best route. So for us, we always had to get, snow emergency. Well, you got to get your cars off the street. Luckily, we had good neighbors. The house across the street has a giant U-shaped driveway because it's a big old house. And they would let us park up if we had to get our cars off the street. She would let us park 2 or 3 cars up there. Because at one point we had 5 cars out front. Because remember, 6 kids with a 16-year age spread. And then I can remember the Boy Scouts from the troop that my brothers were in being out front, and they actually dug out part of the front lawn to be a slope so that we could park a car on the lawn because there wasn't enough parking for us to be, all of the cars up her driveway. Because at that point, Steve was still home, Phyllis was home, David was gone. He was married by the time I was 10. He got married right out of high school. But so Steve had a car, Phyllis had a car, Mom had a car, Gary had a car, Dad had a car. 5 cars, not enough space. Hello, Warren. How are you doing? So yeah, it's not having off-street parking sometimes can be a real challenge. Absolutely real challenge. So, well, I'm glad you're doing well. How's your mom doing? Hope she's doing well as well. That sounds well as well. You know what I mean. Other thing I will be glad to have is that I don't have an inhaler anymore for all this weird congestion, because some things give me, ever since having COVID back in 2020, it hit the bronchial tubes. So I need an inhaler, but that primary care that I went to took me off. And oh, you don't need that. And I'm like, yeah, I do. And she said, well, and I take my allergy medicine, and she could hear like this bubbling noise one of the times I was there. And she's like, oh, you just needed stronger allergy medicine. No, I need the inhaler. Drying it with a hair dryer. Well, there's a smart idea. That would be cool. I currently have 2 vintage labels from a bottle of whiskey that was part of the house clean out that are drying because they started to come off the glass of the bottle. So I decided to go ahead and soak it and take them off completely because I thought, that'd be kind of fun as something for, junk journaling to put it in an odd lot of just, vintage paper stuff. So they're very carefully like sitting out in the kitchen drying. I'd love to take a hairdryer to them. Okay, Kathy, now you said you're making coffee dripped paper. You have to tell us why. What's it for? What are you making with it? So I haven't done that in a long time, and I don't know. I thought I saw it when I was pulling stuff for the sale, but then I don't know if I pulled it out or not. But I thought I had found a thing of, remember, have you ever had to do this? I mean, I remember doing this in Bible school for, vacation Bible school. Hello, Day Trip Vintage is here. How are you? Where they would have you fold up a big sheet of tissue paper and then tie-dye it in like different colors. So you'd like put a different corner of the paper in, and then they would kind of let it dry. And then I found a couple. Oh, you're going to make junk journals as gifts. Cool. Talking about junk journals, I have to email Sarah from Thrift U because she was going to make this planner junk journal for me, and I sent her a bunch of my favorite images and some stickers that I had collected that I wanted to do something with, but I didn't know what, of fairies and Alice in Wonderland stuff. And she's had that for a long while now. And I haven't heard anything about that planner. And I don't think she has the time to do it anymore. But I'd like my pictures back if she's not going to make the planner. So I will have to, I better write that down. Where's something to write on? I know I used to have, well, yeah, not that. That'll work. I will have to email her because I'd like them back if she doesn't have a chance to do them. So I like the idea of junk journaling, but I do not need another hobby. I have no place to do the hobbies I'd like to do. I've got no room and no time at the moment. So I will live vicariously through you guys telling me about your hobbies and what you're making. Because I just don't have the time. There will not be a new hobby with me. I've spent most of today, certainly all of the afternoon, working on scout stuff again because I only got a chance to talk to 9 scouts, but we also got 6 Scoutmaster conferences done. 2 of them, or 3 of them, Ryan, Frankie, Michael, Jarvis, oh, and Aiden. So 2 of them I had to give the paperwork to fill it out right then and there. The others came in with their gross sheet for the rank they wanted to advance to already finished, but they needed to have a Scoutmaster review it with them. So I would like look for anybody in uniform. I've got to talk to this one, and this one. So I only managed to get a hold of 9 scouts last night out of the 21 that I needed to talk to. Kind of put a kink in the works though when the power went out at the meeting. So, I ended up getting a lot of stuff marked off that hadn't been marked off that got missed. Like, did they or did they not cook on a trip? Because that's a requirement. So at least I got a good chunk of them done. Got it all into the computer system so all the other leaders can look at it and find it. But that means I haven't gotten anything for Tosh done today other than this and the thumbnail for this. And so there will be at some point, I know next week's supposed to be a sale. I admit that I'm not sure if that will happen because I see the abdominal surgeon that day. So we'll see, or no, wait, no, that's wrong. The abdominal surgeon is not Thursday, he's Tuesday. The eye doctor is in the afternoon, late afternoon on Thursday. And it's a new optometrist and they're going to dilate my eyes. And that may be a problem because for some reason, when they dilate my eyes, something about the chemical they use, it can make my eyes really, really light sensitive. And it can take hours to wear off. And so my appointment is at 4:30 in the afternoon. And they got to do a full eye exam because I desperately need new glasses and all that. So I'm still planning on having a sale next week, but I'm letting you know now we're going to play it by ear because if it usually takes 5 or 6 hours for that light sensitivity to go away. Well, if they don't dilate my eyes until like 5 o'clock, the sale starts at 10. If that light sensitivity thing hasn't gone away, I won't be able to sit here because I won't be able to sit here with 2 lights glaring at me. I just won't be able to do it, and my vision will be really screwed up. They dilate my eyes and everything goes blurry. I'm one of these people that cannot. I can't see. I can't. I won't be doing squat. I'll probably be listening. I have a couple of audiobooks saved that were on YouTube that are saved on a playlist. So I'll probably be listening to them once they do my eyes. Mike's going to drive me over and go with me so that he can drive me home because I won't be able to. I'm just one of those oddballs. They say that 1 in 20 people have that kind of big reaction to having their eyes dilated. And I was told that it's partly because apparently there's something that my eyes just don't respond well to. He stopped short of saying your eyes are allergic to the drops, but that's an easier way to explain it. But it does mess with my vision badly when they dilate my eyes. They won't focus. They are super light sensitive. Now, I know some of the light sensitivity. I had somebody at a graduation party throw vodka in my face and it got into my eyes and it burnt my eyes, chemical burn in both eyes. And ever since then, I have had a lot of light sensitivity issues with my eyes. So, but that's just exacerbated 100-fold when they dilate my eyes. So Thursday, I'm going to plan for one. And I'd like to do one that is for junk journaling ephemera stuff. So I'll try to put one together that's like crafty things. Because I've been trying to set aside. I don't know if I have enough to do it all for just junk journaling ephemera because I've been slowly setting stuff aside. I don't think I quite have enough to have that be 100% of the sale, but there'll be a fair bit of it I think at this point there might be half the sale. If I have 15 items, at least half of them are going to be ephemera stuff for next week. So who knows, Kathy? You might find something for your you might find something else for your junk journaling. And Day Trip, you might find some for yours too. Oh, of course. Look, as near as I could tell, junk journaling, beading, sewing, being an avid reader, all have one thing in common. The supplies seem to multiply magically without you doing anything. There is a stigmatism in there, but there's also damage from that vodka. I mean, that was a chemical burn. They took me to the hospital too. It was straight up 90 proof vodka. And they ended up taking me from that party to the hospital, had my eyes rinsed. So yeah, I have a book that I found that I'm going that the cover cannot be saved. The book is in pieces, but the plates are gorgeous. But I need to get something to put them in that has the cardboard backing and then like the plastic bag kind of thing for it to go in. Some of them are for holidays, but they're beautiful illustrations. And the little poem, it's a kid's book, so there's a little poem that goes with each illustration. And you guys will want them just for the pics. I know I want to keep the Halloween one and I want to frame it, but I saw that one. I saw that one at a yard sale. God, I think that's now, and they weren't in the same box with it. Because the Godey's ladies book, they're buried somewhere over here. But this one I had packed in a box of books that were with my own books and stuff that I knew I wanted to keep. But it's mostly like I want to keep certain ones out of it. But then I'm willing to share the wealth. I have some images, and Mike threw them away too fast. So one of the things in the clean out was an old encyclopedia set from the 1960s, and there were some great pictures in these. So I started cutting some out, but I only got to do 2 of them because Mike took the rest and dumped them in a dumpster. I was so annoyed because I was going to go through and take out the cool ephemera stuff, and he ditched them on me. So I've got a whole little pile of that stuff to sort out. Because I do like kind of like when I can have picks like that, I do try to make them like little packs that are theme packs for you. So that in case you're doing something that you need, like just maybe animals or just, whatever. So yes, please post pictures. That'd be so cool. That would be so very cool. I don't use my Instagram enough to post pictures. I do need to get better at that and do that more often. I should post a picture of her because nobody bought her. She's a beauty though. And she's perfect for St. Patrick's Day. I mean, she does say March right on there. She plays When Irish Eyes Are Smiling. I was really surprised that she didn't sell during the sale. But that's okay. I'll probably include her in the next one just because, St. Patrick's Day is coming up. What else didn't? Got this in the way. So I don't know if you guys would want to see this or not. So a long while ago, when the channel first started, I had done a video of what sold from eBay and Etsy and all that. Yeah, she's great for St. Patrick's Day. And I had last the last week was my sale of Easter and St. Patrick's stuff, and some of it didn't sell. So she's still available. She'll be available again next week because I had a St. Patrick's Day postcard that didn't sell, and there's couple of Easter related things that didn't sell. Not a lot. A lot of the Easter sold, but there's still a few bouncing around. And I have a box to take to Goodwill, so who knows? Maybe I will. Oh, do I have it? Oh, I don't have it with me. Yeah, I do need to send you those pictures, Warren. I found a book. I'm just double checking to make sure I don't have it in here, and I don't. It's still in the box that's under the kitchen table with the sheet over it so the kittens don't mess with it. I found a magazine that is on ideas for your bulletin board, how to decorate it and all that. And it's got some neat images in it. And I thought of you, Warren, because I thought that might be images that you could use. So I'll send you pictures. And so I don't forget, I'll add it to my little note. I've learned to make notes, really. Send Warren pics. There we go. So, oh, so it has been a week. But I need to pack stuff up. I need to get you guys invoiced. I didn't get that pile over there dealt with. It's still sitting there staring at me. I actually, with everything that's going on and being to get Gary to all his doctors because he had a lot of appointments last week. This coming week is a lot of appointments that I have. Tomorrow is another appointment of Gary's, so I have to be up at 8 in the morning to take him. I'm so glad that I bumped my lives up an hour because it's just making life easier. That because he's an early bird, so he likes making his appointments at like 8:30 and 9 in the morning. I don't get up and the first alarm goes off at 8:30 and then 8:45 and then 9 if I really need that third one. Oh, hon, he's not doing well. He's super pale and he's asked me to go. He kind of grumbled when I took him to the doctor's earlier this week, but now tomorrow, he wants me to go tomorrow because he's getting winded. He could barely make it up the steps again and he's super pale. So this time he's going back and it's to the guy that's been treating the doctor that's treating the kidney, and I think he may want Gary to stay at the hospital because this is back up at Riddle where he'd been admitted before. So we'll see. That's another reason I've gotten to read so much is because I'm sitting there reading books in doctor's offices or when he was in the ER. So he was so much better when he first came out, but I've been watching him very slowly get paler and paler and having more and more trouble breathing. And a lot of it can be tied to kidney failure. And nobody has said anything yet about, well, one kidney's not working. What are we going to do about that? But the other thing they still cannot figure out is why is his body not making red blood cells? He's had to have transfusions every time he's been in because his blood cell count just keeps dropping. He's not producing more. So I've never heard of that. I'm at a loss for that one. So yeah, I mean, I'd like to know what we're dealing with. And I mean, I admit that I had one of those weird feelings, and I had one before my dad died. I had one before my mom died where, I just had this weird feeling a couple months ago where, well, at Christmas time, where I went, I just don't think he's going to see another Christmas. And then I didn't think anything of it after that until he started getting sick, beginning of February. And I thought, and then finding out it's problems with the kidneys. And that's a major issue. One kidney's smaller than the other and just not working right. That's not good. And if it's not working right, but also he's not changing how he eats, he's not changing what he does. They told him, you've got to change your diet. And he's not doing it. And it's frustrating because, I could make the healthiest meal in the world specifically for him, and he might pick at it and I'll eat it later. And then he won't. Passive aggressive to the point of an art form, but all he's doing is hurting his own self. But, he's 60. Oh, I got to do the math. I'm 58, 59, 60, 61, 62. He's 60. He's just turned 67 on Valentine's Day. And so for some of you might remember this. We had a talk at one point a couple months ago. What is it with men who get near the age that their fathers were when their fathers died and they start thinking this crap of, well, I guess it's near my time? Gary actually said it today. So now I know he knows something's wrong. He said, I have to at least make it 6 months. What are you talking about? Well, Dad was 67 and a half when he died. Our dad died of an aneurysm of the aortic vein across the stomach. It was sudden. He was gone in 3 days. They had caught it in time, but Dad talked himself into dying because they caught it in time. He was expected to be released from the hospital. And yet he kept saying, well, I've been on borrowed because his father died in his late 50s from throat cancer. And he talked himself into it. And now Gary's doing the same thing. But he's like, oh, no, I gotta make it 6 more months. I don't get it. I don't get it. And this isn't just in my family. I've had a lot of male friends all my life because I've grown up with guys. And I swear it's something that most of them do. Just because your dad died at that age doesn't mean you need to. But he's now started that today. And I'm like, oh, no. I don't want no. I don't want to hear that. But my gut's not telling me. My gut is telling me he's not wrong. I just can't. If he's not willing to change and do what they tell him he must do, my gut's telling me I may not have him around at Christmas at this rate. But I just, I know a lot of it is because he's never taken care of himself. He's done exactly what the doctors for the Crohn's disease told him he shouldn't do, and he's done that for the last 12 years. Well, more, because he was diagnosed with Crohn's before Mom died, and she's been gone, 16 years now? So he's got nobody to blame but himself for not following doctor's orders and not eating healthy. And when you have Crohn's disease, you're supposed to really limit dairy intake and certain foods. And he just lives on eggs and cream soups and milk, ice cream, stuff he's not supposed to be eating. And he's done that for a decade and a half. But at the same time, we've already lost the oldest of us. I don't want to lose another brother. But I can't, there's not much I can do to help him. And that's the frustrating part and the sad part. Because if he's getting in that mindset, that's a bad thing, because he'll talk himself into it. Sad part is that it all could have been avoided somewhat if he'd take care of himself like a normal person, but he doesn't think like a normal person, which is why we joke around about Gary came with the house, because Gary came with the house. Mom knew that he put himself through the windshield of a pickup truck in his 20s, and so his judgment skills have never been great. So I'll hang in there and do what I got to do, and tomorrow morning I got to do and sit there, take him to the doctor's office, and see if this doctor, though, will talk to me. Primary care refuses to talk to me because he says, well, you don't legally have power of attorney yet, but Gary's given permission to tell me everything. And this guy went, no, I need to see the legal paperwork. No, you don't. That's not how this works. If the patient has me down as, the emergency contact, and yes, you could tell them anything, then that's what it means. But his primary care is not like that. He's a jerk. But this doctor's not like that. He's actually had his office call me and check in on me and Gary the whole time after Gary's been out of the hospital. So I'll probably be in there with him hearing what's going on. It is hard, but in our family, my mother was always the caretaker of the elderly ones. I mean, she was there for both her parents. She was there for her aunt, who was her godmother. I mean, this is just what you do. You take care of them. Gary doesn't have any close friends. You just do what you got to do. He's family. He's my brother. And he's a pain in the ass, but he's my brother. It makes me think of this one thing that happened in Scouts at a national jamboree. There were some international, at any national jamboree, there's usually some international Scouts at the American Jamboree. And there were some kids from Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, that area of the world. And one of our guys was being a jerk and kept walking up going, howdy, Saudi, every time he saw him. He was being an ass. Well, it got bad enough that they started chasing him. They were going to beat the crap out of him, because basically this is harassment and bullying. And Eric was just being a jerk. But Eric got to our guys, and our senior patrol leader went, no, you can't touch him. First off, we're all Scouts and we'll all end up in trouble. So there will not be a fight. And he went, yeah, but he's an asshole. He's an a-hole. And from what I heard from even the adults that witnessed it, our senior patrol leader said, no, you don't understand. In our troop, he's family. And yes, he may be an a-hole, but he's our hole, and we will deal with it. So Eric had KP duty the rest of the week, which he hated, but he got what he deserved. But it makes me think of, with my family, there are times when my brothers, as any siblings can be, and I'm sure there's times they think I'm the same way, that we can all be jerks, but there are jerks. So we deal with it. So it's hard to watch when you see them doing nothing to help themselves. That's the hardest part. With mom, she did everything she could to help herself. When dad had major bypass surgery and the massive heart attack, other than the smoking thing, and he did cut that down a great deal. He didn't completely give it up, but he did cut it down. But he actually went for walks. He rode his exercise bike. He changed his diet. He did what he needed to do. He changed until he got to that age thing and then had the aneurysm. But, you know, it did what he had to do. I don't get not doing everything you can to try to be healthy. I mean, I'm doing what I can. It's not easy right now because right now I don't have the food stamps until the 13th. So I'm missing having my salads. So, but it's just, yeah, it can be frustrating. It can be maddening. But yeah, the greatest gift I ever got from my mother's family was to learn to find humor, especially in the dark places, because it'll help guide you through them. So, so I kind of try to focus on that. I try to get him to laugh. He's a great one for wanting to tell me corny jokes every day. He gets them out of the newspaper. So every day I get a text with some corny joke. And we call them groaners. You know, those kind of cheesy, you know, jokes that you hear the punchline and you just want to go, oh, that's Gary's favorite kind of joke. So, yeah. So I try to keep in mind of those. I'm also always looking out for those. So if you know a really cheesy joke, put it in the comments. Not in the chat because I'll lose it, but put it in the comments after this live is over. So I'll have some new cheesy jokes to give Gary. So because he loves them. So it might help things along and brighten his day. If I can get him to laugh over one, that's usually pretty good. It helps make things better, you know. So but you know, I'm still hanging in there. Taking care of him though has taken more of my time. I can only do so many flights up and down the stairs before the knee blows or the back does. And I know he's not been feeling good because he's not always gotten out this past week to go get the newspaper and his cup of coffee in the morning. And he also hasn't gotten himself something to eat. So I've had to make sure he eats, even if I've got to make a scrambled egg sandwich, because it's the only thing he'll eat. He's got to eat. So that's kind of really some of the physical limitations of this house are the fact that I'm having to take care of him again because he's getting too weak and he's way too pale. But we'll see how that goes in the morning. And then I want to, now my scalp paperwork's done. I don't have to, that's another reason why I did that this afternoon. So I don't have to touch it again until Monday. So hopefully this whole weekend can be spent after tomorrow morning's appointment for him. Then I can spend the whole weekend just kind of get all those weighed and get you guys invoiced. I still have the box sitting here of well, this is the stuff that didn't sell, most of that, but I still have most of the stuff that did sell from last week sitting here, except for the Balik pieces, which went upstairs so that I can get them packed in bubble wrap and gribbies and make sure they're well packed and safe, especially that pitcher, because that has a cool handle on it. I don't want anything to happen to it. So, wow, I have 19 thumbs up. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. I know these live chats aren't always as fun. Sometimes it's hard to find a topic to chat about, but it is just a nice check-in for all of us. It helps keep me focused and going, at least for the weekend. Sometimes the weekdays kind of grind me down, but Yes, especially your bleak. Now those bleak pieces were actually on commission base. So, but there is also a small box of green Jasperware Wedgwood pieces that I have to do on commission. I have to look them up to see, since it's a commission thing, I have to see which is the better place to do it, online on eBay, or can I do any of those on a live sale? So you might possibly see a piece or two of Jasperware Wedgwood at next week's sale. We'll see. And for Nora, yes, I'm now taking my blood pressure medicine. I was told not to take them the same time I take Tylenol because my face hurts so much, because I'm pretty sure there's bad sinus infection starting. I had taken that at 10, so I had to wait. I had to wait and before I could take the blood pressure medicine. So if you have any ideas of any topics of something you want me to cover for future live chats, go ahead and put that in the comments as well. Because, you know, some days I'm not, I mean, it's one thing to have a Scoutmaster minute that I just pull a rabbit out of my backside and just, I mean, there are times I go to the kids, give me a topic. And I just, you know, I do like, Scoutmaster minutes are rarely 1 minute, but I try to keep mine, you know, no more than 3. So usually I can riff on anything for 3 minutes. But this is a little tougher. Trying to keep it for, you know, at least 2 hours. Oh, hey, is that? Oh, it is. I can see the moon. Is it a full moon tonight? And we finally got rid of the clouds. It's been cloudy all day. That's the moon. Just coming up over the roof of the house behind us. I can see it because there's no curtain on that window because the cats ripped it down. Idiot Elron tried to climb it. There's a full moon tonight. Cool. But yeah, if you could think of something specific you want to know as a topic, then we can put it in the chat or put it in the comments. Oh, I hit squirrel brain. I had started to ask you guys a question about 10 minutes ago about, would you be interested in seeing a video that showed you what sold and then what didn't sell, either from a live sale or what sold from eBay or Etsy for that week? I know Trisha does them. I did one that was on eBay sales, but I did that like when the channel first started. And I'd like to know if you would be interested in seeing those. Well, Nancy is very much an autodidact. You know what autodidact is? What's the actual definition for autodidact? Well, the short definition is just a self-taught person. That's the basically, yeah, there we go. An autodidact is usually an individual who chooses subject or subjects they will study, how they will study it, and the time that they will put into it. Some often, what? They are usually partially or wholly self-taught on one or more topics because they are curious, disciplined, take that with a grain of salt, goal-oriented, and resourceful. There we go. I'm an autodidact because when I got into Chester High. I was only there for my junior and senior year, but I'd spent 5 years in Southern Baptist Christian schools. When I got to college, it was a problem. First off, everything in the Christian schools was Christian literature, except my brother got to read Mein Kampf by Hitler for history. I don't understand that. I couldn't read Shakespeare, but you could read that loony. So I was keenly aware, just in high school, but I was business education track because I never had algebra, so they didn't know where to put me. So they put me in business ed. So your English classes aren't much. You really don't have an English class per se for that track. But when I got to community college, because I was an avid reader and read a lot of classic stuff, my grammar and the way I write and talk was better than some of my peers my own age. But so I didn't have to take remedial English. I tested right into Comp 1. But when I got to English Composition 1, we're reading something, and then we go to, like, we're reading something, and it mentioned, what did it mentioned? It referenced Robinson Crusoe, and I had no idea who he was. Wasn't a book that had crossed my path up to that time. So there was problem number one. Literature mentions other literature. There's some things in our culture that reference certain books, and you don't know any of them. And then he started on Hamlet and was real shocked when he found out I'd never read Shakespeare, any of it, none of it. I've read quite a bit of it since then, but yeah. So I got a book. I still have the book. I'm still working my way through it. That is college reading lists, suggested college reading lists for those. And they've got 100 different colleges. Some of them, it's just a short list of a couple of authors or a short list of a couple of titles. Some of them break it down to science, mathematics, history, psychology. They have massive breakdowns of different types. And so I've been working my way through that forever, ever since I was 20. So yeah, I'm pretty good at covering a lot of stuff because I read and learned about it. If I'm curious about it, I learned about it. I think that was one of the reasons why when I had to homeschool Michael for a little while, it was so nice to do, because if he was curious about something that we were working on teaching, you could spend that extra time that you couldn't do in a classroom setting with 30 kids, but you could spend that extra time getting more in depth on certain topics. So when you're teaching yourself, you can go as in depth with it as you want to, or you could just one book on the topic's enough. So Georgia wrote a book. It's about Georgia who. But yeah, so I pretty much can cover a lot. And I come from a family where, well, not my dad's side, but my mom's side was a great one for knowing your family history, not just like who was who, but the family lore. The stories about how they used to tell my mother that if they were, and her sister, that if they were bad kids, then they were going to give them to the rag man. Well, the rag man was an elderly Black gentleman who came, across the tracks and down Amos Land Road in Norwood, and would call out that they'd buy up any worn out and used clothing. Now, if it was really shot, it'd be used as rags. But if it wasn't, he would repair it and would sell it to the people less well off, usually on the other side of the tracks where it was mostly African Americans. in the early 1900s, and he would sell it to them. And now my mom was born in 1929, so now you're looking at in the 30s. So so that poor guy never did anything to them, but these two girls were scared to death of the man. Georgia Denman. Okay, I'll have to look her up. I know there's a couple of books on author. I don't know if that's the same author. Because that's a healthcare person. Oh, there's a couple. Okay, cool. I'll have to look that up on Amazon then. Um, but yeah, so I can usually, but if it's going to cover 2 hours, I need to do a bit more. I've also need to find time, and I don't think it's going to happen until Scouts is done for the year. So not until June. But the Chester Historical Society, since I do know somewhat of Sarah Wetherell and I have links to the family, they do want me to put together a talk on Sarah Wetherell and her father. That's going to take some serious research time. And Widener University, I have to find out how I can get into it. Widener University Library has Sarah Wetherell's papers. So they've got her diaries, her letters. So that's something I'm going to have to look into. And I just, with taking so much on, because I'm doing a lot of stuff hands-on for these lower ranks for my Boy Scouts this year that normally the assistant scoutmaster in charge of that patrol handles, but these guys are not ready. These ASMs are not ready. One of them's kind of gotten it, and she gets stuff into Scout Book, but the three men are not ready. They're just not getting it done. So I got to do it. And then there's transition taking place of we'll see who the next scoutmaster is, the next unit leader. So there's two people there that thou are kind of like now on the fringe of trying to deal with some of that stuff and not where they're actively where I can go, here, I need you to handle this with this group of kids and get it done. So that's a problem, and it's taken up a huge amount of my time. I mean, I'm as busy now with 32 kids as I was when we had 68 kids, because now I'm doing all this lower rank stuff, and it's a lot. Before I used to not handle any of that until I saw them as star, but now I'm also pestering scoutmasters for, okay, who was on the trip you just did? I need the list, because you're not putting them in the Scout Book, and we need to know how many kids were on what trip. We need to know the number of camping nights a kid has. There's the requirements for all the ranks. Have how many trips have you been on? Some merit badges say you need to have certain types of trips in order to complete this merit badge. So have you climbed a mountain to a certain elevation? Have you done a whitewater or canoe trip, some kind of trip on water that's at least 5 miles or 4 hours? I need to know all this stuff. It needs to be in the system, and they're not getting it into the system. So I've taken that on. And that's a lot too. Service time, I've taken that on too, because we no longer have an ASM in charge of keeping track of service time for all the kids. So I've suddenly just had to jump on that bandwagon and take it over, but we're going to get all that straightened out so I don't have to do that every year. But right now it's overloading me with paperwork. And I'm trying to balance that out. I've also been watching, Etsy has been running some seminars, online seminars you RSVP to, for different things about selling. Today was a very good one about photography. And I learned some interesting tricks on some of the photography, how to diffuse light so you don't have harsh shadows. Um, the jewelry one cracked me up because it's so simple. So if you want to get that perfect loop kind of shape, if you're trying to take a picture of a necklace, take a straw and put it down on the table and then just blow hard, and it'll perfectly loop out nice straight lines of the chain on the necklace. I have fussed with necklaces so many times trying to get it to look nice. And he just went and done. So I have been taking some time to look for online seminars about best accounting practices, record keeping, cost of goods keeping, and all that fun stuff. So I've been working hard too at trying to find these seminars so that I can really get this more organized, since this is now the full-time job. So it's a lot because you know, I mean, you're also having to deal with all the just stuff, but I'm decided that this is definitely going to work harder at making things good. Good photographs is one of the keys to Etsy and to eBay. And right now, the photos I have are not great. The cat's knocked my light box over. It is way over there, and I can't get to it yet. So my pictures are not great, especially on Etsy, because I had to do weird angles because I have quite a few cross-stitch kits. And because they're in their original packaging, they've never been open, to try to not have the glare from the lights on the plastic, they're at a weird angle, and I don't think those pictures are really good. But at least they're up there, and a couple of them have sold, but there's still at least another 6, 7 kits. Plus I've got more somewhere. Where did I put those? I found 3 more, and I went, oh, I'm not going to do these, that I need to get onto there. And I have to find out what's going on, because suddenly some of the stuff in my Etsy store says free shipping. And I looked at that and went, I didn't do that. Now, some of it I don't mind because they're lightweight. There's some Chinese red paper silhouette things that are cool. I don't mind those being free shipping, but I mind something heavy to have free shipping on it. I didn't do that. That's some Etsy thing. Yeah, and see, there's only one spot in the house that in the afternoon gets good light, and that's upstairs in Michael's room, because that's the south side of the house. So I can get really good natural light from one of his bedroom windows. But now with the job he has, sometimes he's working from home and he's up there. But we're going to have to come to a compromise about that, because that's a good spot. And I've got a lot of stuff that needs to get dealt with and put on Etsy and eBay. And so, because recently a lot of the stuff I put on eBay has sold. So I had it up to 30 listings, and now I'm back down to 25, 24. I think I've only got 24 listings again. I need more than that. I need it to be way more than that, but anytime I get it to where there's a second page, I'm so happy. So that's going to be a goal, is to get more pictures done. Sometimes the pictures, if I'm trying to take them and I just don't have the right light and trying to use the flash off the phone, you end up with this weird little glare spot. I was trying to take pictures of postcards, and they were more modern. They were still vintage, but they were more modern in that they weren't like this one. I don't think this one sold either. This was the only one I had that was even remotely St. Patrick's Day. But this is an early 1900s card, and it has like glitter that is so old that the silver, if you get stuff that's old enough, the silver glitter actually had like silver on it, so it would tarnish. And so that's why it looks black, because it's tarnished. But these, you could get a picture and it won't glare. But modern postcards, you see, you can already see how the light's reflecting on that. they have a kind of a glossier coating. So yeah, right. And I'm pretty sure it didn't sell. I was so surprised. That's the only one I could find that was even remotely St. Patrick's Day. I'm pretty sure I didn't sell it. The Easter one, that Easter one, those sold. Pansies, the Sago Lily, that sold. Yeah, this is the only one of the vintage postcards I had at last week's sale that did not sell. And I had started it as an offer up at $6. And it's from, I actually read the back of this one, so I'm pretty sure there was a date. Yep, November 27th, 1908. Not pretty, but it's got the 4-leaf clovers. It was the only one in the collection of stuff I had that had anything remotely. It's so hard to find St. Patrick's Day stuff. So I think I bumped my camera there. That, and then I found her, and she didn't sell either, which was surprising. And I have to make a decision because I also have from that same company that makes the music box dolls, I have the 4th of July one, but I'm very tempted on keeping her because she looks really cool. And I have very little for 4th of July of my own stuff. So I'm going to go, one, because my voice is starting to crack, partly because of this allergy mess. But it's 12:23 and I do need to get to bed. I know it'll probably be like 1 in the morning, before 1:30 in the morning before I fall asleep. And I've got to be back up to his doctor's appointment is right at 9. And so I've got to reset my alarms to start going off at 7:30. Oh joy. I'm so not a morning person. Really not. But I need to get him to this doctor's appointment and I need to stay for it. He says, "Oh, you can drop me off and I'll call you." No. I want to talk. This is the doctor that'll actually talk directly to me. I want to go in. So I will see you guys next week. Should be a live sale. I'll have some ephemera. Don't know what else I'll have yet, but I'll have some ephemera. I have to find the other bit of books because so far I've got a pile of books over there for one of y'all. I forget who. I know one of the books you bought is the Chekhov short stories. But I know there's other books that you wanted that are big, that were like oversized. And I have a big padded envelope they could all go in, all the oversized ones. But I want to get all of them together. So I got to get them. So I'm going to go try to get a decent night's sleep. I'm sure I'm going to have to go eject some cats from my room. I need to put those window weights back on the bottom of the little table so that I can use a rope to keep them out of my bedroom, because three of them have discovered that they can leap up onto the top of the china closet, and I'm terrified they're going to knock something over. And there had been a dried flower arrangement up there sticking out of a vintage McCoy vase, a big one, and that's now pulled out of it. So I think somebody tried to eat the dried up old crappy baby's breath. But they pulled it out. And if they ever knocked any of that heavy stuff down over the front end and it kicked back, it could probably break the glass door of the china closet. So I don't want to see that happen. So they're not normally allowed in there, but I keep finding them asleep on the bed in there. Why, when it's the coldest room in the house? I don't know, but I'll have to go evict the kittens. But I'm going to get a cup of herbal tea get some chamomile tea before I go up. So have a good night, everybody. Stay warm, stay dry, stay safe. Pray for Texas. Has gotten what? Texas, I saw tonight, has 4 or 5 different forest fires going. Odd for Texas. And then out west, it got dumped with a lot of snow. Ohio had some bad weather. I mean, we got part of the wind that hit Ohio, but it didn't do that much here. It had pretty much beaten itself out in Ohio. So pray for everybody's safety with these storms that are going through. And I'll see you guys next week. And hopefully Sunday will be the pick out Nancy's next books to read video, because I'll get them all. I'll just lay them. I'll make the bed out. I'll just lay them out, and you guys can pick which ones I'm going to read next. There'll be certain rules because they can't all be really big, thick books. Try to break that up because I often have 2 or 3 books running, usually 3 at the same time. So it could be fun. And then you'll see the kind of stuff I read, because I read a lot of different topics. The only thing I really don't read much of is romance and outright horror. I love Edgar Allan Poe, and I have read some of Stephen King's old stuff. I don't think I've read anything of his in years. But so other than those 2, though, I read just about anything. Okay, so have a good night. And remember, I need some corny jokes for Gary. Put them in the comments for me. And if you like this little chat and want to hear another one, we do chats every other week. The alternate weeks are usually a live sale. I have an eBay store, an Etsy store, a Buy Me a Tea if you want to help out with feeding the cats. I'm still working on getting Forgotten Cats to come get. They're trying to find a trapper now. I have talked to somebody there to come get Charlie so that they can take him for medical care for that ripped open neck. So keep your fingers crossed. Pray for that we can get Charlie the help he needs. And like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week. Goodbye.